Fire, the second word of 21 words, celebrating a journey that began on the 23rd of May 1988, my 21st birthday, where I began responding to the inklings of a call in which eventually expressed itself as a minister of word and sacrament in the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, and then further a minister of word and sacrament in the Church of Scotland. But of course, the journey began before that. As I mentioned last week, it began with that sense of birth and then rebirth. Sometime in about February 1986, I can't remember the exact date, I was serving in the National Defence Force on the border between Namibia and Angola in a place called Rundu, and our bungalow burnt down. I should have been dead in that fire. I really should have. I escaped only with my shorts. Many said I was a sound sleeper in those days, but something woke me up, and I was keen to find out what it was. It led me to a journey where I asked questions about life, about my own life, its meaning, my sense of need for forgiveness and healing, new beginnings, and I committed myself to Jesus Christ under the guise and guidance of a particularly caring and discerning chaplain in the army forces. And that started the journey. Conversions are many and varied. Some of them are religious, others are not. Mine was religious. I found in Jesus Christ a real sense of purpose and dignity, of new beginnings and of new life, and I unashamedly share that sense of conversion because I hope and pray that even in its telling, there might be a sense in which you find the questions and the possibility, the invitation and the hopes to ask questions of your own journey. I recognized my need of forgiveness, that there was a sense in which I wasn't ready to encounter Christ, as the Christian faith would proclaim it, in his returning glory. I sensed that my life was not being lived in response to the resurrection, the possibilities of life eternal, the sense of the long view, the sense of a story placed within a larger story. In other words, in simple terms, I was living predominantly for myself. I wouldn't have seen myself as a great sinner. I hadn't got up to a much mischief, except maybe if you count my gambling days as a young man, but there wasn't much that would threaten the great ledges of heaven. But I knew, quite literally, my life was out of sync, and I was the big I. And so I bowed the knee, confessed my need of God, and began afresh in response to Jesus Christ. Conversions are many and varied. You probably won't have a fire. Maybe you have soft, gentle rain. Maybe you just have an inkling, a desire, longing to reinterpret your life or to rescript your life. Whatever. God comes to us in many and varied ways. Mine was fire. I draw inspiration from Paul in his great conversion, part of which is recorded in Acts chapter 9. Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, so that if he found any there who belonged to the way, whether men or women, he might take them as prisoners to Jerusalem. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" "Who are you, Lord?" Saul asked. "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," he replied. "Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." The men traveling with Saul stood there speechless. They heard the sound, but did not see anyone. Saul got up from the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand into Damascus. For 3 days he was blind and did not eat or drink anything. Let us pray. Lord, open our eyes to what is truly important. Open our eyes to what has truly value. Open our eyes, which are the eyes of our hearts. Help us live for something larger than ourselves. Help us bow the knee and recognize our need of you, the living, gracious one. Open our eyes that we might truly see what is important. Open our eyes, Lord. Open our eyes. For these things we ask in Jesus' strong name. Amen.